Hi, my babes. Okay, now that we have what I'm currently working on are the Kinder Blueberry Almond Bars. They're baking and cooling in the oven right now. While those are getting ready, I'm gonna get us started with the breakfast protein boxes. So what I have is a medium small saucepan. I'm gonna fill this up with about maybe 3 to 4 cups of water. And then as I'm filling this up, I'm gonna add the 5 hard-boiled eggs to it. So we'll hard-boil them. You'll wanna peel them before you put them into the protein boxes, but you don't want to cut them in half. It'll actually dry them out. That's something I've learned. So like I said, I'm gonna put this on the stove, we'll get the eggs going, and then we'll prepare the rest of the dish. All right, so now that the water is clearly boiling, I'm gonna turn it down to a medium level and then just put the eggs in one at a time. Now, if you notice, they're going to sink and you want to hard-boil them until they float. So it will probably take about a good few minutes or so. And I can tell right now one of the eggs cracked, so I'm actually gonna add in an extra egg. To each their own. If you don't mind, I do mind, so I'm going to take that out and just hold that there. So we'll put this off to the side. If it does crack and you want to keep it to stay, you're just gonna scoop off the sides just like that, and then you can scoop them up. Nothing wrong with it, it's all cooked eggs, so you can eat it as you'd like, but just be mindful when you're hard boiling that they might crack if you're not too gentle with them, or some of them might already come cracked. So just hard boil these for about 5 minutes or so until they start to float. All right, so while the eggs are hard boiling, I'm gonna cut this up into 6 individual sections. It's 6 ounces, and this is goat cheese. So for me, I'm thinking of cutting it just like this in So that's all good to go. What I'm gonna have us do is assemble the boxes first with the bread and the cheese. So you'll take one of these breads. I have a Dave's Killer English muffin breakfast type of bread. I'm just gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna take the 2 individual slices of cheese and put that onto the side, and we'll assemble these for all 5. Looks like the eggs are almost done as well, so I'll pull those out here shortly, let them cool, and then we can peel them off. Now our eggs are just about done, so I'm gonna let them sit and simmer for another minute or 2. In the meantime, let's get the grapes assembled together. What you're looking for is about a half a cup of grapes. I love this little vine, this is perfect. So if you can find a way to squeeze in one of these vines, that's great. I'm gonna stick to probably right here. These with a few extra spare grapes will match. So we'll go and pick off right here. And if you can't pick off, you can always chop or use scissors. Okay, so that right there should be about 2.5 cups of grapes. I'm gonna put the grapes aside. Now the last thing that we have left to worry about besides the eggs are going to be the apples. So I'm gonna cut the apples. And if you can, take out the little bottom pieces, take out the core. And I'm all about cutting as close to the core as possible without compromising taste. So I like this one, it's a little bit more red. I'm gonna go with this guy. Perfect, and then we'll add the last half into the other one. So if you notice here, I have the apples sliced up, and I'm going to cut them facing up to the sky. So that being said, they can be pressed off with lemon juice. The lemon juice, what it does is it helps the apples stay fresh, so it's the acidity that's coated on them, and I'm a huge fan of doing this. So I'm just gonna brush them with lemon juice. And I just freshly squeezed the lemon juice on here. So I feel like that's a pretty generous amount that this can go into one of these right here. So we'll just add in the apples. The hard-boiled egg can go right on top. It'll be good to go. You can even, if you want to, for decoration, flip them over so you can see the red. That I'm more than okay with. And then the hard-boiled egg will still sit on top. Now, if you want to, again, if you're on prep, please measure these out accurately. I'm gonna add a couple more from one of each in here just to make sure that these are spread out nice and even. And if you're not going to eat the other half of that apple now, I would suggest storing it with the rest or the remaining of the lemon juice that you have available. That way it could stay fresh as well. So since you're not using the full 3 apples and you have a little bit of this in here, I would coat this and store it for later if you're not going to eat it now. Okay? Okay, so the boxes are assembled. I peeled the egg whites and made sure that they're all good to go. Cooled down. Some of them are still a little steamy, so just be mindful if you're going to put them in the fridge right away. They might create some condensation for the lid, so I would let these sit out for just a little bit. And then, last but not least, my favorite of all ingredients is going to be the Justin's Honey Almond Butter peanut butter, or almond butter, you could choose. But I like this, for example, because this is the brand that they use in the replicated versions for Starbucks, where they created the first version of these. So what I would suggest doing is, just so that way this doesn't get with the lemon juice, I would put this underneath the bread. So you're gonna scoop out your tablespoon of almond butter and put it just below your bread on each one. So it shouldn't take too long. You can also, another hack I would suggest, which I'll put into the recipes here, is you could also use Baby Bell cheese, Baby Bell Light even. And the light cheese, the reason why I like it is it's easy to keep stored in one of those little wheel wax containers. That way it stays fresh. But I'm such a huge fan of goat cheese with fruit personally that I would suggest doing these. And this is it. They look delicious. So I hope you enjoy your breakfast to go.